Welcome to this edTPA overview webinar. I am Irene Watts-Politza, edTPA coordinator for SUNY New Paltz. The purpose of this webinar is to give you information about the edTPA that will enable you to develop a general concept about what the edTPA is. To begin, let's set a purpose. As we move through the webinar, think about the information being given through the lens of one or more of these questions. We will revisit these questions at the end of this presentation. What is the edTPA? How does the edTPA fit into a candidate's program of teacher preparation? How does the edTPA prepare candidates to develop as accomplished professionals? The Teacher Performance Assessment, known as the edTPA in New York State, is a student-centered, multiple-measure assessment of teaching. It is designed to be educative and predictive of effective teaching and student learning. The edTPA measures pre-service teachers' readiness to teach full-time. Let's take a closer look at the italicized terms on the last slide to deepen our understanding of edTPA. How is the edTPA student-centered, a multiple-measure assessment, educative, and predictive of teaching and student learning? Regents' reform agenda in New York State calls for a more rigorous approach to teaching P-12 students and to preparing teachers. Part of this rigor is a shift in teaching skills. Let me ask a question. How many of us sat at a desk and listened to the teacher talk about what we needed to learn when we were in school? Under Regents' reform agenda, that's over. Teachers now must learn both teaching strategies and learner strategies. Teachers now must teach learner strategies to students so that students learn content and develop skills with varying levels and types of support to become independent learners. This is what it means to be student-centered. You teach learner strategies to students so they do the work of learning instead of having them sit at their desks watching you do the work of teaching. This is what the edTPA assesses, and this is why the edTPA is student-centered. How effectively does a candidate teach learner strategies to all students to support their independence as learners? The term multiple measure assessment means the edTPA is not the only assessment used to determine whether or not candidates receive initial certification. Program-based assessments, as well as other state-level exams, must also be passed in order to earn the initial teaching certificate. With reference to the edTPA, the term educative means that while completing the edTPA, candidates demonstrate knowledge of teaching as they simultaneously continue to learn about teaching. This is the purpose of daily reflective commentary. Candidates write about what they know as well as what they are learning in their practice of teaching. To be predictive of effective teaching and student learning means the edTPA has been designed to measure how effectively candidates will use multiple and varied teaching skills to continuously improve student learning. Now, let's move from this very basic explanation of what the edTPA is to answer some frequently asked questions about it. Who takes the edTPA? When is the edTPA completed? What is involved in taking the edTPA? And how do candidates prepare for it? Candidates seeking their first initial teaching certificate complete the edTPA. Candidates complete one edTPA, regardless of the number of initial certificates earned throughout a teacher's career. The edTPA is completed during the first student teaching placement, which takes place in the first 8 weeks of the student teaching semester. At SUNY New Paltz, the edTPA is scheduled to be completed in a 6-week window. This bulleted list shows the essential components of the edTPA. An effective teacher reflects daily. The edTPA provides commentary prompts that clearly guide reflective thinking about teaching and learning. Analyzing benchmark assessments and planning prior to the instructional week based on these assessments are also part of effective teaching. The edTPA calls for candidates to write 3 to 5 connected lessons called a learning event. These lessons can be based on existing district curriculum guides and can be cited as such in reflective commentary. During planning, a minimum of 1 formal assessment is designed prior to instruction in order to drive decisions about teaching and learning strategies. While formative and informal assessments occur continuously, the formal assessment will be used to reflect on a candidate's effectiveness in teaching and learning. The assessment can be adapted from district curriculum guides and again should be cited as such. The teaching of the 3 to 5 planned lessons should be videotaped in order to select 15 to 20 minutes of instruction as evidence of teaching effectiveness. This instruction should demonstrate a candidate's ability to teach a specific learner strategy. The candidate must also demonstrate the capacity to support diverse students such that they apply the strategy successfully to content or skills practice. The candidate administers the formal assessment and evaluates students' learning based on their application of the learner strategy taught. Reflection on teaching and whole group and individual performance demonstrates candidate understanding of the assess, plan, instruct cycle. Lastly, candidates upload required documents and artifacts to Pearson, where they are scored by evaluators who have been trained by Stanford University's Center for Assessment, Learning, and Equity. These are the components of the edTPA in a nutshell. How do candidates prepare for the edTPA? At SUNY New Paltz, we have created a number of supports to prepare candidates to function professionally as they complete their 6-week edTPA exam in the school setting during student teaching. The first line of support is the edTPA Handbook. This is provided to candidates at the start of the preparation program. All program handbooks are archived and can be downloaded from the Blackboard edTPA candidate community site. Opportunities to use the handbook occur throughout each program. Through continuous engagement with handbook contents and commitment to rigorous preparation, candidates will arrive at student teaching with a firm understanding of their required work for the edTPA. A second line of support is the edTPA candidate community site, hosted on the campus Blackboard course management system. This is a site for candidates to learn about and discuss the edTPA through accessing multimedia content resources and interacting through moderated online discussion. Candidates are given access to the site from start of the preparation program. They benefit from interaction with peers on all points of the edTPA prep continuum. Moderation of discussion allows the edTPA coordinator to determine training needs. Embedded signature assessments, or ESAs, have been created by faculty in order to familiarize candidates with the tasks, parts, and language of the edTPA as candidates progress through their programs. Revisiting the handbook in each education course builds capacity to understand edTPA task demands over time. Engaging with the tasks through varied, content-driven perspectives supports a fuller understanding of teaching and learning. The edTPA webpage offers up-to-date information for candidates, district personnel, and parents whose children are in a classroom with a student teacher completing the edTPA. Maintained by the School of Education's certification officer, the edTPA webpage is a resource for frequently asked questions, policy updates, and certification guidelines with respect to the edTPA. The edTPA Study Hall is a support wherein candidates can receive feedback and guidance in preparing for or completing the edTPA. Held during after-school hours on campus, candidates may drop in informally with questions or attend trainings that are developed by the edTPA coordinator. Writing consultants from the School of Education's Office of Special Programs are available to support use of reflective and professional level writing skills. It is expected that candidates will meet the more rigorous demands of School of Ed teacher preparation programs and will set goals related to completing the edTPA. Most importantly, candidates should seek to positively impact the learning of the students they teach. Secondly, candidates should use edTPA resources to excel in their preparation to be initially certified. Lastly, candidates should regard edTPA feedback as influential in determining their professional growth continuum. This slide shows a continuum of teacher performance assessment. In Tier 1, the teacher is entering the profession. Performance is evaluated using high level of research-based standardized practice criteria. Assessments are standardized at the local or university level as well as at the state level. In Tier 2, the teacher is nearing professional certification in the primary initial certificate area. The teacher, who is now eligible for tenure in a school district, will complete a tenure portfolio through submitting evidence of best practice and reflective artifacts from teaching, student learning, professional development, and collaborative experiences with colleagues. This level of teacher performance assessment is not currently standardized in New York State. However, an increasing number of school districts are requiring such evidence-based portfolios in the granting of tenure to teachers. Tier 3 is being reached with greater frequency by today's teachers. This is the level of national board certification and is the province of the master teacher. Attaining this level of professional certification indicates a teacher's readiness for and commitment to leadership roles such as mentoring, coaching, building level committee chair positions, and district committee membership. This continuum of teacher professional assessment and professional development has been compared to the process by which physicians are prepared and licensed in the medical profession. In conclusion, the edTPA is a rigorous 6-week practical exam taken during the first placement of student teaching. SUNY New Paltz has created multiple supports for our candidates to professionally and successfully complete the edTPA in the school setting. The edTPA is the first tier of teacher performance assessments that have the potential to provide practice-based evidence of teacher effectiveness throughout a teacher's career. SUNY New Paltz School of Education thanks you for your interest in the edTPA. For further information, candidates, supervisors, and faculty can visit the edTPA candidate community site on Blackboard. School district personnel and parents can visit our site at http://sites.newpaltz.edu/edTPA/. Classroom teachers seeking edTPA training to be a cooperating teacher should request access to the SUNY New Paltz CT file on Dropbox, available in mid-October 2013. Thank you.